removal, Aether Vial can actually be pretty poor.
Yes.
Pick everything apart, and then you have a Vial in play. And the second Vial for Hunter is definitely not good.
Well, he's got the first Vial off of a Mutavault, so we are underway here in our finals from Charlotte.
And Joe's also packing Kolaghan's Command.
Pretty important card there.
Another vulnerability of the Aether Vial in the matchup.
Hunter with an island. Is it spreading seas? Well, it can't be. That's not a good idea to cast that right now. However, Silver Girl Adept, revealing a Curse Catcher, which can be vialed in, is a pretty good start.
And already valuable information being thrown out there. It's possible there that Hunter would like to conceal the Curse Catcher if possible. If he's revealing it there to the Silver Gill Adept, may represent a hand light on threats. He also might be saying, well, I'm going to put this into play anyway, and there's not a lot to counter the next turn, so it's free to show, but could also mean that Hunter is very light on threats.
Stomping Ground is the weapon of choice here for Herrera off that Verdant Catacombs. That's why he's at 19. He drew a copy of Abrupt Decay for the turn. Pretty good one to have. Now, of course, the question here is, do you Abrupt Decay the creature, or do you Abrupt Decay the vial?
Ideally for Joe, he would just ignore the copies of Aether Vial and just focus on killing as many of Hunter's creatures as possible, particularly because a lot of Joe's removal works at instant speed. So it's not like he has to worry about Hunter. He vials something in, he does something very powerful on his own turn. That's not going to be happening that frequently.
Vial's up to 2. Herrera's going to let it hang around.
And if Joe's waiting, to me, it indicates he's trying to gun down a Lord with this with this Abrupt Decay. And to me, that says his plan for the matchup is ignore Aether Vial, ignore the low impact creatures as much as possible, and focus on killing the Lords and keeping the board maintained that way.
Time to fire up old Mutavault. And we're going to get in the red zone here. See what Herrera is going to do. Again, we know he's got a Abrupt Decay. Not sure if he's got a Lightning Bolt or anything like that. It looks like he wants to pick off creatures. One thing Abrupt Decay cannot take care of is Mutavault. However, he does have a Terminate. So that'll trade with a Curse Catcher, which is a trade you got to be happy with.
Yeah, Hunter's thrilled.
Can follow this up with another Vial and simply pass the turn back.
And this is my concern about Aether Vial in the matchup from Hunter's side, is just, I feel like he needs to get as many creatures as he can get his hands on. And even though Vial's very powerful, playing at instant speed's very good, he has a lot of tricks, it may end up harming him more than helping him that he's drawn 2 copies.
You know, what's interesting is the first one's good. You don't want the second one.
And it's not even clear the first one's going to be good that often.
And Joe has 3rd land, and he can cast Maelstrom Pulse on Vial if he wants. Or he can say, oh, I don't know, I'll kill a Silver Gill Adept and let's just keep moving.
And this is the crossroads, right? Like, do you take this 2-for-1 now? It's pretty attractive, or do you say, I'm just focusing on killing creatures and Hunter can keep these Vials?
Well, there's Kolaghan's Command, so this is a little bit of both.
Yeah, this is a good way to split the difference. Ooh.
Yeah, Harbinger of the Tides will come in. Now, he can't bounce his own creature, unfortunately. But he is able to vial something in. Kira Great Glass Spinna was the draw. Nance has 2 of those in his main deck. There is Kira. So this will make things a little bit more difficult here for Herrera. He'll have to have Bolt Plus.
Yep.
Get the job done here.
And Hunter needs to set the second cavern to Glass Person or whatever the creature type is.
You're looking for Spirit. Spirit is the name, yeah.
Be able to cast that.
Glass Person?
It was my first guess.
Okay.
I wouldn't have, you know. Give me some time, I probably would have been able to figure it out.
Yeah, that's what would have happened. Here's a Bloodstained Mire. It's from Kamigawa block. Come on, man.
I know.
Spirit. Everything's a spirit in that set. Or a ninja.
Not true, I don't think.
Most things. We're going to sacrifice the Bloodstained Mire, see what land he wants to search up. Probably going to go with the basic, doesn't want to take too much damage here.
There's definitely some rats.
True. That was a nice sub-theme of that set, actually.
Rats matter.
Yeah. Dark Confidant.
Everyone's favorite tribe.
Dismember's going to take care of that. Looks like Nance is empty-handed now. He's going to actually file empty-handed. I like it. Keep them on their toes.
Kira is awesome against Joe game 1.
So good. So good.
And Joe gets some workarounds in the post-board games, but game 1, I mean, His deck is just a lot of expensive removal spells.
You get the Fire Mutavault. Come across here for 6 points of damage. Joe would need Bolt just to get something off the table here. Abrupt Decay. That actually will work.
Uncounterable.
Yeah, that actually will work. So that's pretty nice. Herrera down to 8. He's still fighting. Remember one thing about Merfolk too, no reach. I'm not gonna find Lightning Bolt here, or Psionic Blast or anything like that.
It's disappointing that you won't find Sonic Blast, but yes, you're correct.
Here's Abbott. Take a look. Dark Confidant.
I mean, Dark Confidant can at least block and trade. And I don't think Hunter's in the position just yet to sit back and just say, okay, I'll let the Confidant kill you.
Well, Joe's going to cast it. There's Ghost Quarter to take care of the Mutavault. And Joe catching up pretty well here. Vial up to 3. Mutavault going to go active. Red zone we go. Marrow Regery in hand right now.
And that's what makes putting a block here dangerous. Because Hunter can vial it in.
If you're Hunter, you kind of have to make the stack anyway.
Yes. And I think if you're Joe, you have to block with something. Because if you think it's possible he has Mirror Regery, you can't fall to 5 and keep a Confidant in play.
Ghost Quarter is going to go to Mutavault now. This will allow Hunter to get an island out of his deck. See what's next here for Hunter. He's got 1 card left in hand. See if it's anything that actually matters right now. Don't have a great look at it. Just going to pass the turn back. Herrera will draw. You know, John, a lot of removal over there. Here's Maelstrom Pulse. It's going to go after Mirror Regery. Is it a Spell Pierce? If it were, I think it would have cast it pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, really at this stage, Joe needs to kind of hang back and hope that Hunter just draws a land or some non-Lord Merfolk at some point. If he can trade off, then he gets some breathing space. I believe he has another Confidant in his hand, and he can take it from there.
Nance will just have to pass the turn back. Vial number 3 in hand along with an island. You talk about the problems of Vial in the matchup, you can see it now.
Yeah. At this stage, really any creature is good for Hunter, but these Vials do almost nothing.
There's a Lightning Bolt. That'll trigger Prowess on Abbott. Looks like he's going to get a little aggressive, which I like. You want to get this game over with now if you're this far ahead. You know, there are some concerns about a card like Master.
I don't think Joe has a workaround to Master right now anyway. His Abbott's not worth a whole lot if that card's in his hand, so.
Kira number 2 was drawn. That's a way to get something going.
But Joe has turned it around. I mean, he's on the offensive now and can race.
And there's not a ton that he needs to play around. Verdant Catacombs is a pretty good draw. That's another Greenman source of mana. Here come the beatdowns. He'll sacrifice that Verdant Catacombs, go down to 7. He might be on his way up to 9 here in just a second.
And this is presenting a lethal attack next turn as the Ooze can continue to pump.
Some people on Twitter are a little surprised to see Jun in the finals. That I say, why? Jun's great. Jun's always great. And he got new tools. Some of them we see in play right now in Abbott.
Although I believe only one.
Just one, maybe testing it out, see how good it is. Follow-up Dark Confidant.
And now Joe working with a life cushion, we can afford to play Dark Confidant down.
If you're Hunter, you got to draw Master, like right now.
I believe it was Spell Pierce.
That's not the one. Kira going to hang back on D. The reveal's Overgrown Tomb. Looks like Scavenging Ooze was the draw. Joe might feel comfortable now to play Overgrown Tomb untapped. Unclear, but here's an attack.
Hunter has to block the ooze regardless.
Yeah.
So Joe does not have to take the extra points.
There goes Kira. If Kira's on D, life's not good. Overgrown Tomb going to enter the battlefield tapped. Here's another copy of Scavenging Ooze. Pass the turn back. It'll be Nance's last draw step this particular game. He'll show his hand, Spell Pierce, File, some useless stuff, and Joe Herrera's going to win game number 1 here against Hunter Nance. Jund up a game over Merfolk.
You can't show a hand there unless it's got 4 lands. You got 2 spells. They're just not good spells in the matchup.
Yeah, you drew 2 spells. They just kind of stink.
Yep.
That's all.
That's not Joe's fault. that's not the game engine's fault either.
We'll take a look at the sideboards now. We'll get ready and take a look at Hunter Nance's sideboard, one that we've seen a couple of times this week, and he's got a dispel. Excuse me, 2 dispels, 1 dismember, a hibernation, 2 relic regenerators, a spell pierce, 3 spell skies, 3 Tidebinder mages, and 2 unified wills.
So this is where things get really interesting for me, is how Hunter wants to approach this matchup. You look at a card like Tidebinder Mage, for example. Joe's got green and red creatures to lock down. Some of them are very good, like Tarmogoyf. So on the surface, you would say, yeah, bring in Tidebinder Mage. He's got targets in Joe's deck. But if you look over at Joe's sideboard with those Anger of the Gods and Damnations, can Hunter afford to just be flooding the board with low-impact stuff in the face of all these sweepers? I think he can bring in the copy of Dismember. It's a good answer to Joe's threats. And I think the Unified Wills are probably okay, although Joe puts plenty of creatures on the table as well. And there's some cards like Tidebinder Mage and Spellskite, which maybe he wants and maybe he doesn't. I think the relics are also good to bring in this matchup. He's fighting against Scavenging Ooze and Tarmogoyf, but I'm really curious to see how Hunter approaches this. If I was in his spot, I would just want to be as threat dense as possible, trying to make sure every spell matters, and I'm not sure Tidebinder Mage and Spellskite quite qualify.
Other side of things for Herrera, he's got Abrupt Decay and Ancient Grudge, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Damnation. Very important card for his last matchup. Probably good in this one, too. 3 Fulminator Mage, 3 Kitchen Finks, and now Spellbomb, Olivia Voldaren, and a Shatterstorm. 6
great cards. The 2 Damnations, the 2 Anger of the Gods, the Abrupt Decay, and the Olivia. Olivia is a little bit on the slow side, but it does win the game on its own. And the removal and sweepers, I mean, that's all Joe really wants in this matchup.
These players will shuffle up. Nance will be on the play. We take a look at the prize payout here for this main event. You got $5,000, 25 Open Series points, an invite to our Season 3 Invitational for the winner. For second place, $2,000, 20 Open Series points, and still an invite to our Season 3 Invitational for the loser. Making the top 8 of one of these things pretty good. 500 bucks.
And the points are really significant to Hunter, especially, who's trying to size himself up for a run at the Players' Championship, probably via an at-large bid at the end of Season 4.
And with our Invitational next weekend, with the prize payout there, you see first place $10,000 when we go to New Jersey, 35 Open Series points, and it doesn't say it on there, but an invite to our Players' Championship, somewhere Hunter Nance is trying to go.
Yeah, and you know, we're gonna get to see soon, when we get updated and all that, whether Chris or Logan is in a position to potentially run down Danny Jessup. It's going to take a great performance from one of those 2 guys and Danny to fizzle out, but I believe those 2 players will be within theoretical striking distance.
Can't forget Ross Merriam, too.
Yes.
That's for our Season 3 Invitational. That's next week, though. We want to focus on this week and our match here between Hunter Nance and Joe Herrera. Nance will be on the play. He's gotten through some tough competition to get to this point. Herrera, no slouch, though. Nance in the quarterfinals, he took down Logan Mize. In the semis, he took down Tom Ross. Now he's looking to get by a former Open Series champion in Joe Herrera, though it is a difficult match as we saw game 1.
Yep.
Jund.
And if I was Hunter, I would be cutting out at least some of the Aether Vials. I don't know if you ditch all 4, but I think Hunter just needs every card to do something no matter what.
You know, it's because I don't disagree with you. It's just, you know, with Vial, it's a card that people would just say, well, I'm playing 4, so I'm just going to play 4. And, you know, it's just this untouchable card that people have in their main decks because I'm a Vial deck. But you saw there when he drew a second and a third one, you know, it does nothing.
Yeah, Curse Catcher is another card I'm skeptical of, although with Joe bringing in, one assumes, Anger of the Gods and Damnation, the card becomes a little bit more attractive. But I think Hunter needs as many Lords and just reasonable 2/2 bodies he can get his hands on. And all of his fancy chicanery with Aether Vial and cards related to that, Harbinger of the Tides comes to mind. I don't think they're likely to be good, especially with Joe loading up on even more removal here in the post-board games.
Well, we're going to see how things do break down here. I mean, I think that life is pretty tough here for Hunter, but being on the play certainly helps.
Yes.
Quite a bit, and we'll see if he can take advantage of that, though that means, you know, game 3, he's on the draw, and then things get pretty difficult for him.
And I'm interested to see how Joe wants to sideboard, too. Were I in his spot, I think I would just be cutting the discard spells. Hunter can curve out pretty efficiently, and I just want every draw to be live. Just trade 1-for-1 as much as possible. That said, Thoughtseize and Inquisition can be solid early on in the game, and Thoughtseize is one of his best answers to Master of Waves, something he can't do with Inquisition. So there's merits to both discard spells. Inquisition trades 1-for-1 early, doesn't cost Joe any life. Thoughtseize allows him to grab what is probably Hunter's best card in the matchup in Master of Waves. But on the balance, I think the discard spells are not where Joe wants to be. But both players have a lot of different ways they can approach this matchup. I'm given what I would do were I in the Merfolk seat, were I in the Jund seat.
I can get behind that. Looks like, I want to make sure I got my information right here. Herrera might actually be a 2-time Open Series champion. I remember him, I remember him winning in Baltimore. I also remember him winning back in Atlanta, yeah. Pardon me, 2-time Open Series champion. Night Humans once, Big Red the other time. I remember the Big Red win. A bit of a brew. This is when he was starting 4 copies of Burning Earth, if you remember that card. So pardon me, Joe, 2-time Open Series champion. My mistake.
Charlotte, North Carolina native.
Indeed. The other time he won in Atlanta back in 2013. That was on my birthday, 3/2/2013. He got the job done with Night Humans.
I remember that one.
Yep.
Because you messed up your foot.
I remember that one too because of that.
Called that show with Todd Anderson.
On day 2. That's what you get for running. Just don't ever do that, and you'll be just fine. Yeah, this Humans deck list, Frontline Medic among others.
Yep.
One of my favorite Magic cards, actually. Relic Virginia is how things are going to start here for Nance.
It's an odd choice.
Good against Tarmogoyf, unclear. I mean, okay against Scavenging Ooze. Not excited.
Oh, I was talking about the frontline medic comment.
Oh, why is that?
It's not exactly a silky smooth design.
I mean, the card wasn't particularly good. I just kind of liked it. That's all. Hunter keeping a bit of a sketcher.
You can't go to 5 cards against Jund.
No, you can't.
This hand with 2 copies of Silvergill Adept has a high upside to it at least.
Yep.
And I know it looks bad, but going to 5 cards against Jund is a death sentence. Joe kept 7s, probably got some removal spells, and you just can't win that way.
Yeah, got to peel out. See if he's able. Cavern of Souls, I believe, was the draw. So he was. See what he wants to name with that Cavern of Souls. It's easy to say Merfolk there, but he's also got Cure in his hand.
Yeah, Glass Person probably is the name.
Yeah, you named it. Yeah. Glass People. Well, we had confirmation on what Cavern of Souls was naming as soon as we do know. And it goes with Merfolk, not Glass Person.
Conventional route.
Yeah.
Goes with Merfolk.
Herrera does have his second land. That'll be a Verdant Catacombs. He's in the tank on what to do this turn. Got a lot of options in hand.
It's also tough just because, Joe has to figure out how much he's willing to play around cards like Spell Pierce in the post-board games and how his timing is influenced by that. Really good chance Hunter cut them. Though, facing down Damnation and Anger of the Gods, maybe they're still there.
And Joe will search up a basic forest. Actively searching up basics.
Wants to preserve his life total.
Okay. Here's Star Confidant. Relic activation very quickly. Slow down that graveyard. Nance will untap and draw. So Harbinger of the Tides.
The only way that Hunter has to punish his mana is Spreading Seas, and in that case, it doesn't really matter what Joe finds.
We're gonna play Dismember, come across for 2.
Players in the standard Premier IQ.
Activate Relic.
Active player is turn 0.
Pass a turn back.
Additional turns.
Damnation appears to be the draw here for Herrera. He's got Got a stomping ground to play. He'll take 2 to play it. Now there's Scavenging Ooze. Might be a decent time for a response. Maybe not. I just don't know how much longer Hunter wants to keep this relic around.
Yeah, you sort of feel like he's just got to get some more stuff in play.
Yeah.
If he's allowing Joe to just sort of, play his lands and whatever he wants to and so forth, it's going to be hard for Hunter to apply much pressure before the door gets shut.
Here comes Silver Gillidub. Lightning Bolt. Yeah, pretty good. 2 damage will come across. Joe could use his Life Total as a resource here.
Yeah, especially, there's a lot of creatures in the graveyard. There's likely to be more of them soon. And Scavenging Ooze growing plays very nicely with Anger of the Gods.
Mm-hmm. Not in much of a rush at all. He's the control deck in this matchup.
Yeah.
Hunter can't play that role. Here's 3 mana. Going to get the opportunity to take care of the relic now. That'll go active. And Joe, I think, is going to pretty comfortably remove that Lightning Bolt. Leave Dark Confidant there for Scavenging Ooze. If I'm Hunter, maybe I target myself there. Move a creature.
Sure.
Silver Gillidub or Lord of Atlantis. It's a minor thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he wants to exile stuff out of his own graveyard, so he has the choice. Every creature matters. It's a life point, and the bigger and bigger that Ooze gets, even building up a board of Lords may not allow Hunter to punch through.
Nance drew a relic for the turn. He's got to start to get some Lords on the table. The problem here for Hunter is he's obviously having mana difficulties, and Joe can really just make a big Scavenging Ooze and work him into an Anger of the Gods or a Damnation.
Yep.
There's Relic. That's going to resolve. Now here comes Silver Gillidub. Herrera will sacrifice. He'll get a Overgrown Tomb, have to take 2. He's taking some damage.
Yep.
Activate Scavenging Ooze, it appears.
If he's willing to play it like this, I have to assume that, he's fine taking some chip shots, and he's got some real powerful end-of-the-line play here like Anger of the Gods or Damnation. Anger would be the ideal one, but if Joe's going and getting a second black source of mana instead of a second red source of mana with that fetch land, indicates Damnation. Liliana of the Veil could also be a line of play he's taking, which would be very good here.
Relic activation. Silver Gillidub will deal 2. Now Relic will get cashed in. Hunter, draw a card. It's an island, that's helpful. He's almost at 2 spells per turn territories to head back Herrera's way.
And not great sequencing there from Joe, as it all turns out. If that was going to be the line of play he took, he probably should have responded to the Relic getting cast rather than waiting for everything that just happened there, because he took the maximum amount of damage and got very little out of the Ooze.
Mm-hmm. Well, this Inquisition will take care of Kira. That'll be fuel for the Ooze. And now Joe also sees that it's probably not wise to attack with the Ooze because of the Harbinger.
Well, also, it's very risky for Hunter to attack, because now Joe can go, all right, Hunter plays a Lord before combat. Joe goes, okay, pump my Ooze, kill your Lord. Now your Silver Gillidub is dead, and I control the terms of the game from here.
Oboro. Palace in the Clouds is the land. There's a Lord. Pass the turn back. Ooze is eating that.
Yeah, I suppose the plan here from Hunter is if he draws a second Lord, then he can send in the Silver Gillidub. Although I guess even if you're playing against one removal spell, the Ooze becomes a 4/4 and you're attacking with a 3/2.
See, for me, if I'm Hunter in this situation, I don't know if I can beat anything.
Yeah.
The longer we go like this, it's just, Joe's drawing Damnation, Anger of the Gods, all this stuff. I'm not really drawing to much. I'm just not sure I can play right. He's drawing a Cooldown's Command.
Well, the card you're drawing to if you're Hunter by taking this line of play is Tiebinder Mage. If that's in your deck, then I can see trying to hang back, because the odds that Joe has something is very high. Most likely, if you go for an attack that last turn, you're just dead. So you want to wait a little while if you have Tiebinder Mage, and that gives you something to draw towards.
I can understand the logic there.
Because Joe has to use a removal spell on Tiebinder Mage if he has it, because that's the only way to unlock his blocker.
Another Master.
So again, Hunter's still not in a position to attack. The other card he's playing towards with the board that he's building up here, now with a second Lord in play.
Master of Waves.
Not just Master of Waves, Spreading Seas.
Sure.
Then he doesn't have to worry about the use as well, at all. I'm not saying there's no risks to the line of play that Hunter's taking, but the most likely scenario is he has an instant speed removal spell and you die. This way, at least you're drawing towards something where even if he does have a removal spell, you're not necessarily out of the game. I believe Joe has Maelstrom Pulse, however, which is about the worst case scenario.
Yeah. It is bad news. That's food for Ooze. Ooze is attacking here. Now this is interesting-ish.
My preference would there to be pump once or 0 times, because you know it's going to get hit by Harbinger of the Tides the next turn.
Actually, that's exactly what Joe wants to have happen. Because he has Anger.
Oh, sure.
And Damnation. So he just wants Hunter to say, okay, I'll bounce your guy. And then if he can say bounce your guy, and if Hunter draws like another Lord, he's going to play both probably.
The thing is, you get that play anyway, even if you just pump once, and you are, because he knows that you know about the Harbinger, it feels like it's just too obvious. Like he's trying to set the trap right now.
Yeah.
If you pump once, it just looks like nothing is going on. Like that's the play you would make no matter what.
Sure. Bounce here, get you for 2. We'll see if Hunter plays a spell that he drew.
It's probably fine either way, at the end of the day. But
Yeah, Hunter drew Lord of Atlantis and chose not to play it.
right, and if Joe pumps once instead of twice, maybe he plays Lord. Maybe you get everything.
Yeah.
In first place,
What's the best way to reel him in there is the question.
Yeah.
with 20 points. In second
And I think the
place,
best way to represent I don't have a sweeper is just one pump. Because at that point, you're only playing around the Harbinger, which from Hunter's perspective doesn't imply anything is really going on with your hand.
through 7th place with 19 points, we have James Liu, Patrick Hardison, Nicholas Charland, and Will.
Joe going to cash in the Damnation now.
And in 8th place with 18 points,
It will resolve.
we have Cody Sweeney.
Raging Ravine is the land. Herrera does have Lightning Bolts in hand too.
If you could take a look at them, make sure everything looks good.
Hunter going to take a look at Raging Ravine, make sure he knows exactly how that man land does work. It's a Lord. Kick it over. Lightning Bolt there. Scavenging Ooze coming soon. And there's a lot of ammo for that in the graveyard. Actually, it looks like Hunter's card in hand is a Master of Waves. Kitchen thinks is annoying.
But Master of Waves might not even matter very much now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Hunter's best card in the matchup, I think, but after he's gotten picked apart like this, it's just not worth very much, and Joe's now presenting a bunch of green threats, so protection from red is worth very little.
It'll bring an elemental along with it. But I think I agree with you. It's not going to be worth very much, though it is one of the better cards in the matchup here. Herrera going to activate Scavenging Ooze, heal a creature, gain a life, put a counter on the Ooze.
Please come to the stage.
Time to untap. And draw. Herrera going to go to the attack step. He likes where he's at here, and I would too. Feels like only a couple of attack steps away from a 3rd Open Series title here for Joe Herrera.
In a very Jundy way to win. It wasn't like one moment ever happened where you said, this is where the game got away from Hunter. He just had answers for everything.
Finks will persist. Some life will be gained. And again, the Merfolk deck without any reach. So no burnouts to be worried about, and even if there were, Scavenging Ooze could take care of that problem. It's back to Nance. Play a Tidebinder Mage. Lockdown Scavenging Ooze for the moment. Ooze going to eat a couple of things here as it grows. Master of Waves decides to hang back on D. Looks like Herrera's last card in hand is another copy of Damnation.
Yeah, and now he can hang back for as long as he wants to here.
Firing up Raging Ravine won't get him very far because of the Master of Waves, but
If I was Joe, I think I would just say go. Because Hunter can attack into your kitchen finks. Both Tidebinder Mage and Master Waves, too valuable. But he can raise 4 damage to 2 for a little while. I guess if Hunter makes an attack here, then you fire up the Raging Ravine.
yeah, if Tidebinder Mage comes in, you fire up Ravine, but I believe Raging Ravine, and we can take a look at it, is a red and green creature.
Yeah.
So Master of Waves will get to come through. Yep, because it does have pro red.
My point is that I think if he hangs back on defense, he's way more likely to sucker in the last card, the last threat that Hunter has.
Sure.
And then Damnation plus Raging Ravine is enough to carry the day. This way you risk turning the game into a little bit of a damage race, and then something like Spreading Seas or Harbinger of Tides could give Hunter some shot. Because he can't attack you at all. Both of his creatures are critical.
Scavenging Ooze really wants to untap. Real bad. Doesn't get to, but it really wants to. Master Wave's going to block this time. They'll trade. Another Scavenging Ooze. Nance will draw. Believe another Tidebinder Mage. It's a Spreading Seas. That'll shut down a Raging Ravine. No, you can't float a green mana to activate the Ooze. Marrow Regery. Regery will be deployed. Pass the turn back. I'm gonna go Eating with Ooze. I think Joe's got enough things to eat that he can present lethal, assuming he's got another Ravine down there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a Ravine plus a 4/4 Ooze. Both are lethal. We're now hitting double chump block territory.
Not a lot to worry about from Nance's side.
Yeah, he's tapped low, so Harbinger's not in the equation. Can't pay for a Dismember.
There's the activation of the Ravine. There's a removal spell and Terminate. As long as he doesn't forget that count on Raging Ravine. Which I think he may have. Yep.
So it goes.
Yeah, we'll play one more turn here. Nance will draw. It'll be an island, pass the turn back, and I promise Joe won't forget to kill you. Fire it up. Get that counter. Come on in the red zone. Harbinger, not going to be good enough. Joe Herrera is going to win this match here over Hunter Nance. 2-0. John will take care of Merfolk, and for Mr. Herrera, it's his 3rd Open Series win. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, congratulations. And, setting aside the Raging Ravine token there on the last turn, I think a very well played game and match. Knew what mattered in the matchup. Wasn't necessarily trying to answer every card or exchange efficient on a mana-to-mana level every single turn. Was just trying to pick apart the relevant cards that Hunter had, catch him off of his lords, strand him with cards like Aether Vial and other low-impact Merfolk, and just slowly but surely grinding them out of the game.
Yeah, and